It's Nick's Halloween Spooktacular! Faust, a legend as old as time, a tale written in blood and bound in human flesh, the ultimate deal, an offer you can't refuse. Faust is an old legend long believed to have been based on a real incident and spiced up over time. It tells of a man who makes a deal with the devil. He gains riches, power, and above all else, knowledge, satiating a raw thirst for information that only he can know. In short, it was a medieval version of Wikipedia. The legend goes back further than Christopher Marlowe. In fact, there are many such deals in history, like that of Hades and Persephone, Rumpelstiltskin, Horace and Set, and even Faust itself was written by other writers, but it wasn't until Christopher Marlowe got his hands on it that it became something truly special. Marlowe was a contemporary of Shakespeare, a fellow playwright struggling to make his way in the world. He had several other big plays, like Dido, Queen of Carthage, The Jew of Malta, and The Massacre at Paris. But by far, this is his most transcendental work. It's the one you always hear quoted, ironically enough for something he didn't create. Is this the face that launched 1,000 ships and burnt the topless towers of Ilium? Like, in the sense he didn't create Helen of Troy. So what is the story actually about? Well, a guy who makes a deal with the devil, sure, but what are the details? Dr. Faustus is a guy who wants more than he has. I never quite figured out why, but I suppose that's the point. It shows how he simply wants. He's just a greedy asshole. Perfectly in line with Christian philosophy, no doubt. He doesn't actually conjure the true devil, but rather a guy named Mephistopheles, a lower demon from one of the higher circles.
Well, of course, there are all manner of lesser imps and demons, Pete, but the great Satan himself is red and scaly with a bifurcated tail, and he carries a hay fork.
Oh, no. No, sir. He's white. As white as you folks. With empty eyes and a big hollow voice.
It also draws from Dante's Inferno, like the famous passage about Helen of Troy. You know she's in hell. He also meets several other famous characters, like the greatness himself, Alexander. Anyway, the demon grants him all the powers and abilities of the world, and the only thing he does is pull pranks on people. He goes to the Pope and screws around with him by being invisible. He screws around with the King of France. He's a jackass! Finally, his allotted time is up, and he gets dragged to hell in the end by demons. According to legend, during the very first performance of the play, actual demons showed up on stage and pulled the actors down with them. Woo! There's nothing too gory in the play, nothing overtly horrific, other than the Christian notion of having your soul destroyed, but still, it bears the ominous feel and sense of dread. There's this idea of a character with absolute power doing nothing but attaining his own ends, rather than helping out with society or something. It bears a striking resemblance to other rises to power, how characters make deals with the devil just to further their own aims. But in the end, they're dragged to hell with the rest of them. Of course, a big part of the story are the comedic scenes in it. I mean, it basically invented the whole good angel, bad angel thing.
Lie to her. It's okay to lie to women. They're not people like us. I don't know. Hey, where's the other guy? Come on, you bastard! I'm late for work!
I think this is a major part of any work, and certainly helps keep the story around. Think about it. There are numerous dark tragedies with no humor, and while they may have powerful messages about the human condition, you ultimately don't care and forget about them. A story isn't supposed to overwhelm you with one solid emotion and leave you feeling empty by the time you're finished with it. It's supposed to take you on a journey, from highs to lows and back again. A dream. More vivid and more real than any you've experienced. Of course, it wasn't only Christopher Marlowe, but Johann von Goethe who wrote a much longer and larger play of the story, this time split into two parts. The first part is similar to Marlowe's play, but adds in dimensions of heaven and hell and a beautiful maiden for Faust to seduce, have babies with, and send those babies straight to hell! Oh yeah! It goes there. The second part is really weird and makes no sense. I mean, yeah, it has a point to it, but it contradicts the everything that we've discussed thus far. There was a movie of Marlowe's version directed by and starring Richard Burton, yes, with Elizabeth Taylor as Helen of Troy, that supposedly really sucks. Based solely on old trailers, it looks like it had plenty of low-grade Halloween effects. Pretty cool for some background noise. The theme of power for power's sake was a big one back in the Elizabethan days. Several of Marlowe's plays, a couple of John Fletcher's, and numerous works of Shakespeare were marked by these ideals. Many of Shakespeare's characters were Machiavellian in nature, rising to the top through blood and thunder, and at least one of his plays had a deal with the devil. A play set in Scotland.
Ah, don't listen to that jackoff. Look at those gazongas.